All right, team. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. So in today's session, we'll be learning basically, if you remember yesterday, we have basically completed RCI phase, that is continuous integrations, where, let me check this one, right? If you see here, I've just taken one of this one. This is the repo name with this particular last pipeline was this one. If you can see here, we have in fact published our artifacts as well. Now, as I mentioned, like artifact is nothing but it is a bill, output bill of your applications. Say, for example, in our case, it is a .NET base, right? So it contains your applications, library systems, and also your binaries, and also your configuration files, as well as the applications related core, right? So all these, as I mentioned yesterday, there's something called a DLL and the exec. So those also will be included here. So if you want, you can check it like this. If you remember that yesterday, I have in fact defined the build ID along with the artifacts name. So let me just have a look first. Before that, what we'll do, there is other also. I will just try to maybe for now disable this one, okay? Because this is not run. We don't need to run this one right now. For now, I can go here. There is a option called if you settings, right? Setting there is a pause or disable. For now, I'll make as disable so that this particular pipeline that is run by another person, I don't want because they are using same pipeline maybe. So maybe I will disable this also. But if it's a different depot, you don't have to do that. Just to check of this thing interest, we are doing that so that you can also see what we can do it. Yeah. So as I told you, this is done, and we are working with this one, right? So if you go inside here also, yeah, this is the one we have canceled it yesterday, right? Let us go inside what basically pipeline it has, right? This is the last pipeline we have run. This is the repository name. This can be changed it according to your requirement. Now let me take you to the pipeline. You can go to particular or like what is it, pipeline insights. Then you can go to three dots. There is something called as edit pipelines. So let me click over here. So as you click here, this basically, as I told you, we have multiple YAML file, and one of them right now we are into this pipeline that is 7 point YAML. I mean, okay. Now let me just highlight this one. I mean this thing. Now, first thing, as I told you, the trigger is nothing but it says that whenever in the master branch, if there is any changes happen, automatically this particular pipeline has to get kicked in, right? Second, we have something called as the pool. There are two types of pool. One is the Microsoft hosted, and second is your self-hosted. Those difference I will be covering in some time, maybe after this labs, so that you can compare it that as well. Then these all variables as part of the applications, and also along with this one to run or to basically in order to basically run successfully your applications or maybe work successfully with particular .NET based applications. Also we need to basically install something called as what I call NIGGER tools, right? In NIGGER, what exactly it does is that it is also kind of a package management for your .NET based application. That means if you want to basically run your application, you need to have this particular package manager in place. So within here, let's say you have any kind of dependency for specific application, those will be restored from this particular package management. That is why first thing we are going to install it. Okay, this task basically, if you click here, there is many ways of exploring. Just keep your cursor over here on settings, right? If you put a cursor, not putting cursor, I mean, just click your cursor there. If you put a cursor there, automatically you can see something like that. You can click something like that. Okay. Now, same way, after installation of your NIGGER package, this thing, installer, then next is basically based on there is a command for NIGGER. It is going to restore basically and store where in the solution file. Okay, so that is a simple. Then third, as I told you, they'll take solution file, they have given the variable in there. They'll select obviously the tag as the latest, and they will give the default ms build arguments, basically the port this thing. This we will understand details when we do in the self-hosted one. Okay, later, as I told you, platform is these all default variables that is defined according to the applications. Now coming to the test, this also is defined. So as I told you, this something called as a, this is they are going to test dot some dot DL or anything. So depends on this thing. Uh, Normally, if any developer, they would know better than actually the DevOps engineer. So we can check with them also, like what kind of need to be tested, where Azure need to be modified. So some of the information you can get it from development side also. Yeah, that's a thing. And also this is a share folder. This is the default working directory, system default working directory. Okay. Then next we have here copy. Basically, as I told you, for each task, basically we have there is a agent called Microsoft agent in our case, right? If you see here, this is a Microsoft agent. That means for every single task, the agent would run. Basically, they will pick this task, and they will run in their particular Windows latest operating system. This is just like as normal virtual machines. That means whatever tasks or the step that you have defined here as in part of pipelines, those will be running under or within or inside these particular virtual machines. Okay, so that is how. But the problem here is using the manage Microsoft hosted one for every single task. Once the task is completed, particular die, they will automatically get discarded. In the sense, the particular virtual machines will be basically deleted. Okay, this is the reason why there is this we are using the Microsoft, self-hosted one. So as I told you, we are going to cover that also in the real time. Okay, so then we are going to test it and we are going to copy. So if you just take a look here, copy what it does basically. As I told you, this is a you have to mention the like sequence wise sequentially. You have to define all your the tasks or maybe the that you want to perform according to the your requirement, right? So here basically what I'm trying to do is that I'm going to basically define a task called as copy file. So as I told you, I'm going to copy the file from where build.source working directory. Now if I like we have already discussed last time also, but anyway, let me show you one second. So if you just go to the you can simply type this also automatically. This will still take you to the somewhere in your documentations. Okay, or you can directly go to documentation and search also. So anyways, you can do it. So anyways, okay, let me go here under use predefined variables for your pipelines. Let me select here. You can use control F. That means you're going to find out. There, as you can see here, the local part on the agent where the source code files are downloaded. That means, as I told you, whenever you run this thing, there will be a agent, right, where your source codes to be downloaded. So this is the working directory. So this the working directory also. Anyway, this is so we can see we cannot see right now in the real time case because, as I told you, we don't manage this one because this is managed by the Microsoft because we are using the Microsoft hosted one. But if you're using your, let's say, self-hosted one, that means you can see this folder also. You can go to virtual machines, you can log in and see this folder also. That we will discuss in the next class. We will see in real time how we can see artifacts, everything. But for now, understand this is the part. Okay. So now that means from this particular agent where the source codes are downloaded, I'm going to copy, right, according to the this what I call, where is that, I think here, right? Yeah, here it is going to basically their source code they are going to, because this is agent, right, where it is got downloaded. So I'm going to copy here. I'm going to basically where I'm going to move or I'm going to download, I'm store this one builder artifact build dot artifact staging directory. Now if you click here, if you just take a, search this also, same way you can go to the official documentation, search over here. So what it says basically the local part on the agent where artifacts are copied before being pushed to the destination. As I told you, we have right now not pushed, right? This is the working that we thing. So now what I'll do is before artifacts copied before pushing, that means they will copy, right? But before pushing to the destination, that means it is still not been pushed to your anyway, right? So that means this is why what I'm doing, I'm copying from here location to this particular artifact staging. And then second I will publish this one to where, while publishing same thing, because the right now from here to they move to here artifact staging directory. From there if you see here part to publish, right, they will take the same directory because this is same directory if you remember, right, same one, right? So they will take now from here, they are going to publish where they are going to publish to the here container. The container is nothing but basically in the pipeline. Now, if you see here under publish pipeline, this is another task you can see here, right? So they will basically take the artifacts from here, and this is the name of the artifacts with the build ID. This can be just like this, any name you can give. The build ID is optional, but it is always best practice to define a build ID so that for every single like commit or maybe changes you do in your pipelines, you can easily identify with the help of build ID, because it will be unique for each build ID. Okay. Now, as you can see here, there is something called as a artifact publish locations. So it is currently basically what is a publishing, in the sense it is basically moving to where Azure pipeline. There is another way where we can send to the file share as well. But as I told you, we are working with a pipeline. So let us send here, in the sense publish here. So here also there is an option again. You can select max artifact size. It depends on this thing. You can also define the size according to your requirement, but let's not do all this for now. Okay. There is also option to basically in advanced step tag the artifact before uploading. That means, as you know, this is a file extension with the tag, so it will be like a zip file kind of things. Okay. So we don't want to do all this stuff for now, so let's keep it as simple. Now that means I have done it, this one. Right, I have done it. Let me just commit. Now commit time, as I told you, in the pipeline, let me just maybe just take you up little. If you see here, as I told you, we have given the trigger as the main master branch. So now if I try to, sorry, my bad. uh, okay, if you see here, whenever I want to run master branch, now if I try to run this thing, now you can see branch or tag, it is a master branch. That means I'm trying to say now, um, the trigger should happen only in master branch. But if you can see here, let's say if you have a multiple branch, let's say dev branch as well, depends on your requirements, you can define also like your what you call branch define, you can define same format. Okay. There is a different kind of trigger option also be available, so we will also try to understand. Okay. All right, so let us also there is another option, like we can say like enable system diagnostic. This is nothing but why we are using, in the sense, say for example, whenever you're writing a pipeline, say for example your pipeline having some issue where you're not able to identify the issue properly, where the exactly the issue is. So in order to basically make this as a logs or enable as a logs, so we can enable this one so that you can see what is the issue, where the issue is, everything we can easily track. So in our case, we can keep enable or disable both are okay. But for now, I will keep it as enable just to this thing. Okay. We don't have any issue, but anyway, I just wanted to show you that is why. Now, so this also, if you remember last week we have done it, I mean yesterday we have done it. So automatically the new pipeline, I mean trigger, it should get triggered, and pipeline will artifacts will be published here, right? It is 0 right now because right now it is running. So meanwhile, let's get maybe let's wait for this some time. I have already discussed, right, what is happening in the background when you run pipeline, right? So, but let us see in the CI phase. I mean, continuous deployment, that is your release phase, right? Let me open one more different tab. Maybe I will open one more tab. Let's not go here now because it will take some time. Meanwhile, I'll go to the release, and the same pipeline, you can see the release. And one more thing I want to highlight is that even I was facing, I will show you that very interesting thing. Even I was trying to find out the way. If you take a look now, as I told you, we can see the release in the, let me take you back. In the option like organization one, project one, under pipeline, there is a release option, right? You can, if you click the, if you put a cursor over here, you can see the pipeline and so many other settings. But if you go other organizations, let me show you. Let's say organization two. Let me see if we can see this one. Organization two, project two. Now, if you see pipeline, see, we do not see the option. We can only see the pipeline, environment, and libraries. Where is the release option and other things? We do not see, right? If you, same thing, if you go with the organization 3 also, it is like this. I was also trying to figure out initially. I was not able to why it is this thing. Later I got on there was some setting we need to modify. Okay, so if you go here, you don't see it here. So let us see how we can enable this also. This is another things where we need to be aware. Okay, let me go to the two as I told you. Oh, let me go three first. Under here, go to the project settings. I mean organization settings. Now, there, if you come down, there is an option basically repo permission. I think this is under, sorry, not under organizations projects, under projects. Let's go. There is a CI. This thing we have it. Projects configuration, test configurations. How come it's missing now? It will be somewhere here. Okay. So I was trying to find out there. So I enable it for others. But yeah, let me check maybe. Let me go organizations. Then I'll go to the deployment node thread. This will be somewhere here. Maybe I need to check projects, extensions. Okay, it is somewhere here. I was not trying to find now. Okay, there is a way. Basically, we have to enable that also. That day I have enabled it. So now I need to check how where actually I'm missing that also. Small settings. Okay, just need to enable. I will tell you later once I find it. Okay, let's not wait for now. Later, right? Because I was struggling to find that also. Anyway, now it is got published fully successfully. It got published. Now artifacts also got published, right? So if you go artifacts, as I told you, I have given that build name as 24. This is a build name, and all the pipeline related or my repository, everything is downloaded. So this particular is where it is right now. It is stored in your what do you call in your pipeline right now. Okay, that means the pipeline have the artifacts now. Now let us go to the continuous deployment in our organization one. We'll go click here, or if you click on your cursor on your pipeline, you can see release, library, group, and everything. I will explain later everything as we learn along, right? So let's go with now release. Release is nothing but basically it's kind of your continuous deployment. That means once your pipeline is ready, and once your pipeline's artifacts are ready in your CI phase, you are going to deploy to the respective environment. This is where we are using the release pipeline. So also one more note is that in pipeline, we can define two ways. In the sense, there are two ways we can use a pipeline. One is using the YAML, and second is a classic editor. So it depends on the your expertise. You can select one of them, but probably try to use classic first if you're not aware like how to define. You get some idea later. You can try to explore using YAML, but YAML is quite easier than the classic because you can maintain easy to understand. Also, classic means you have to go to GUI more and understand. I mean, you can explore it more. Let's click first one. If you see a release, automate your release process in a few easy steps within pipeline. So I'll click here. Now, as soon as I click here, what this is a stage, right? This is how this is born of classic editor. Okay, in the CI phase, mostly normally you can go with the classic, sorry, YAML. In a continuous deployment or the release phase, we can use a classic editor. So this is more of the classic. I will tell you why we have to use a classic in the release phase. Okay, in some time. Now let us first select a template that or start with the empty job. Let us do the empty job. If I put empty job, this particular is a stage name, right? Let's say steps. I can mention any name. Let's I can simply give as a dev or development. That means this is an environment as a dev environment. Okay. So this name can be anything according to your business thing. You can give any name that you wish to give. First, let me give a name as a dev for now. Stage name as dev. This is how it should be by default. Now, as I told you, what is our agenda? Our agenda is to basically deploy the application to where we have created a web app here right, in Azure. I want to basically deploy this one, right? I mean, to deploy in this particular web app. So I have already created this one before recording, as I told you, because this is taking some time. To save some time, I have created this one. Okay. So you can see, you can select this publisher model as a code, and .NET basically runtime stack you can select as 8 or 9, depends on you. The rest remains as default one. Okay. Sorry. Okay, now let's go here. As I told you, so our agenda is to basically deploy the particular which was published the pipeline artifacts now into where in Azure Web App. First of all, I need to get the artifacts, because as I told you, in order to run your applications, you need somewhere your artifacts, right? Basically, artifacts nothing but it is the output of your builds, right? It contains your system libraries or configurations or settings or maybe your binaries and so many others, right? So this is why I have published it in my CI phase. Just to be sure, let me show you once again CI, just to be, make sure we understand well. Go to the projects. On the projects is where we have defined pipeline. This is the one we have done. Just recently we have done, right? This one. Now, if you notice, this is the artifacts I'm saying it. This artifact, what is artifact number? It is the 24 first artifact. This is artifact number. So let us go now and see how we can basically define here. So first of all, as you can see here, in your artifacts, that means first I need to pick, or I need to basically have the artifact in place. So that means in CI phase I have already published the artifact, so I can directly attach. So click here, add an artifact. Okay, let me click here. As you click here, if you can see here, add an artifact source type. It is asking me what is my source type. If your artifact stored somewhere in your Azure repo or build or maybe GitHub or any other TF BC, right? TFBC is nothing but it is a team foundation version control. This is not being used much. Mostly we can go with the build or maybe Azure repo or GitHub in some situation. So in our case, as I told you, we have our artifact store where in the build only, right? Because we have build application, that means it is in build only, not in Azure App also. Okay. Now project, as we all know, this is a project that we are working with, right? And the project now it is asking me the source build pipeline. So I need to select what is my artifact, where it is stored, right? It is under this project, but what is the name of this artifact? Now let us select here. So there is a drop down. Now I need to understand here by going here. If you just notice here, let me go back. This is my, I can change this name anything. Maybe I can just give anything for now. But yeah, let me not change anything. If you want to change, you can change it, but as I told you, I don't have to do anything. I know my this thing. I can simply copy this one, or I can simply search it. Mean by seeing the name also you can understand it. At last 5, right? Let's go back here. So as you go here, as I told you, you need to find over here. You have to find this way. There is an option, right? This is, or you can just copy paste it your repo. Not you don't get something like that. You can have to see the some syntax issue. So just search like this, like HR, my name dot, this is the one, right? False. So I do not see anything apart from this one. So let me select this one. As soon as I select, if you select the default version as latest, always try to keep as the latest normally, because otherwise if you select the particular this thing specific version, I can get specific version whatever I want. If you let me show you, see, I can select the specific version, right? The problem here is it's quite difficult to manage it automatic way. So this is why if you select as a specific, I mean latest one, it will pick the latest one. So as I told you, if I take the latest automatically, this is the alias repos, right? So alias name, I mean repo. Now if you can see here, the latest, as I type here, I mean selector, you can see the artifact name is this one, right? 24 first artifact. This is the artifacts which we are having right now here, right? If you go the, this is the latest, this is the last pipeline run, right? You can check, this is the one. So we are good here. Let us now okay, select edit. That means what we did was now we what we did was we simply attach the artifacts that is from the build, or nothing but a continuous integration phase that we have published. We have attached the artifacts, uh, the one which we want. Now we need to deploy this to where? particular web app, that is a Azure Web App. Now, to deploy this thing, as I told you, this is a stage that is called as a dev development or dev stage, right? Now, there is an option called, if you see here, one job, zero tasks. Let me click over here. As you click here, it will directly take you directly to the, there is a many tab, right? Pipelines, this is a pipeline related, this is a task related, this is a variable related, there is so many other options, but let's not focus into others, let's focus the topic. So as I mentioned, task, under task you can see the something called as the agent jobs. If you remember, as I told you, every single job there is a agent basically running, right? Agent is nothing but it is your virtual machines that is running. When you run pipeline also, there is a, we have defined as a Microsoft sorry, Windows latest, right? That is also as an, it's nothing but it is a virtual machine. But that is all managed as an infrastructure. It is managed by Azure itself. Now, I can simply change this name if you at all require. But in my case, let it be. I don't want to do any changes. And if you see the agent pool, in my case, it is now taking as hoster. It's nothing but it is a Microsoft hoster. That is 2019 with this particular version. And here there is a other option like time hour option, job cancel, everything. And as I told you right now, the Asana, because we have attached the artifacts, remember, in our continuous release phase and CI phase, CD phase. So if you can see here, this Asana, what is going to do? His work is to basically, this particular Asana work is to basically tag the artifact. If you see here, they are going to artifacts going to download. Which artifact? This particular artifacts latest one, right? So we are going to, they are going to download. Let me just expand, right? If this one, right? This one, that means this particular what is Azure will pick this one and they will download this artifact where in this particular agent, because the this is another agent. This is not the same agent as previous one. This will be the same concept, but then this is a new agent, new fresh agent. Okay, this is the reason why we need to have in place artifacts. So they are going to, now this particular agent is going to download the artifacts from the continuous integration to your this particular agent, that is your continuous deployment phase agent. Okay, so they are going to download the artifacts basically with particular reason. Now, okay, now we are good here. Now next, what is the next? Now we don't have to do any changes here. Next we have option called as a plus button. If you can see here, if you put a cursor over there, you can see add a task to your agent, sorry, agent job. That means, of course, as I told you, agent work is to basically take the task and execute it, right? So let me click over here. Now there is a many option, like you can see on the task all build utilities, test, package, deploy, tool. So depends on what level you want to do. In my case, I will go with the, I'll select an all. Let me search with the one I want. What is the part, what we want to do? Our agenda is to basically deploy in the web app. Now I need to define the task, no, to deploy into web app. So this is why I will select Azure Web App, Azure Web App or web app is anything is fine. Okay, now as I type Azure Web App, maybe I need to give a space. Now, as I type Azure Web App, you can see here there is a different way of deploying it. Like, say, example, if you can see the definitions, it also says Azure Web App. Definition says as deploy an Azure Web App for Linux or virtual machines. Sorry, Linux or a Windows. And second, we also have there's something called as this also Azure Web App for containers. So this is for another purpose. Say, for example, instead of the traditional code base, if you want to basically deploy your application with the help of containers, then yes, you can go with this one, containers. And also, of course, there's other settings, depends on your basic your requirement. You can choose the one you need. But let's keep as simple. So for now, as I told you, we have in fact created our web app, that is in Azure Web App. This is a we are going to, if you can see here, this is a code base, right? Publisher as a code base. So let us directly go here and then edit this one. As you can see here, once I add it here, now automatically this will be created a task for you, right? Under task, now I need to fill my details. Now this can be changed. Anything you want to give, this display name can be changed according to your distance. So I can give as a, I can change, let's say, deploy to Azure Web App or anything like that. Just deploy to Azure Web App. Any name you can give. That's not in a don't have to follow any particular name. So this again depends on the project. You can give any name. So now is the thing now. As I told you, I need to deploy to Azure Web App. That means Azure Web App is where it is stored in my sorry, it is actually located in Azure portal, right? Azure portal. And but then we are working where we are working the different portal, that is your dev.azure.com, right? That means this is a DevOps portal. How now the Terraform, sorry, how now the DevOps will know which particular subscriptions basically where to deploy, right? So I need to have the specific configurations or maybe the information, right? This is why I need to select the subscriptions, because as I told you, in order to deploy anything you need some informations, right? So that is when I need the subscription details as well. So let me click over here. So as I told you, I have created one something called as a service connection. This service connection, if you remember, let me select service connection. I will again show you. I haven't shown you, but just to make it things simple, I will show you once again. Um, let me go here. In my case, okay. Okay, it is taken from here. Okay, I will show from here. Under, if you go in the under here, project, go to under organization, project, you go. Under projects, we have a service connections. This service connection, I have it right. This one, SC, nothing but service connection, Azure DevOps Pulse, RG01. Same thing only now you can see here also, right? The question is, how can I create that one also? Let me show you. In order to, you have to, this is a prerequisite basically, you need to create it. Let me show you how we can create this also for in the simplest way. As I told you, this is the Azure DevOps portal, and you want to basically connect with the Azure service, not just the Azure Web App. It could be any other service, okay? Let's say Kubernetes or virtual machines or storage account or whatever it is, you need a service connection so that they can have authenticated in two different basically service. One is Azure with your Azure DevOps. Okay. Now let me go and directly create a one service connection. As I told you, now I need to understand here one thing. Create, new service connection here. Choose a service connection, service order type, connection type. In my case, as I told you, I want to authenticate to from Azure DevOps to the Azure portal, right? So I can select Azure RM or nothing but Azure Resource Manager, right? Because we are going to do or deal with the Azure Resource Manager only, right? This is all part of the Azure Resource Manager, right? All the resource. So this is the thing. Okay, so let me select. Next, it is asking also me like I have selected this one as your resource manager. Now it is showing me that identity type. Again, this is a by default or this is a recommended one. You can also select if you want to have managed way, you can do so. But let's not go with the default what is recommended according to the DevOps practice. Now this also I will keep as part of the secret base also we can select. Let me keep as default. Now, as I told you, what is the scope? Scope, this can also be a subscription label. That means if you give a permission on this particular subscription level, that means everybody would have access, those who have access to the subscription level. If you go management level, it will be higher level than what we discussed that day, right? Sorry, that one management group in to manage multiple subscription policy or maybe some access, or maybe this is for another like machine learning workspace that we can ignore. So let's do for this one. I can now in this my case. Now, as I told you, I need to have the resource group in place. So this resource group also I created yesterday. I created. You can check it if you go resource group. This is the resource group I created right in place. I don't have any resource. It's just for the service connection I have created. Now this one, okay. I don't know when it is created, but let
Bro,
me
this one
check this.
created by me only, bro.
Oh,
I have
by you.
created.
That's why. Okay. I was wondering how this came anyway.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Just now
If
only.
you, okay, good, good. It's good. Able to create, right?
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's the thing. Okay, good. Fine. Now, okay. Now I have done it. Now I can give any service connection name. Let's say test service. I'm just trying to make things simple for you so that you can understand the flow. Okay. Connection. Now I can give anything. This is optional. Service management anything. This is optional. I can give or I can ignore it, and this is also optional. But it's good to give some description so that you will know what is the purpose of using this particular service connection, right? Anybody can understand. Now this is a major concept. Like security wise, there is an option grant access permission to all pipeline. That means if you give particular service connections as in all pipeline, that means you don't have to approve again and again. That means the particular service connection would have access for entire pipeline for entire projects basically. Okay, for particular subscription. So I can select this one. Right now it is some issue. Maybe there is I missed to some define something. But anyway, we don't have to waste time. Let's not do. If you want to, this is the one I created. And there if you want to edit, you can go and check here also. This way you can check it. This way I have defined it. Okay. Now if you want to give permissions, as I told you, we need to know how to give permission also in the service account so that we will know basically. Let's say we are having more than 10 members, right? So we need to give a permission to the this service account also. How can I give access to the service account? Because as I told you, this is separate service managed in your DevOps also, and this has to be authenticated to your cloud, right, as your service. So that means I need a service connection also to run or to work within your Azure DevOps. So I can simply go here, go to a service particular service connection name, then go to three dot. There is settings, security. There is an option. So I have added this way. There is an option to add organization label or this thing label. But anyway, I can select this label, project label, or you can simply add any name you want to define here. These all names are there. You can select any name that you want to define, just add it. And while giving the permission also, you can just see what permission. I can give three types. One is administrator, one is user, is a reader. Administrator would have a full control. That means they can do anything within service connection. User mean they would have only with the access, and reader they can only read it. So in my this thing, I did not give that much restricted. So I given for everybody as an administrator, so that everybody would have a proper access and do things like that. So as you can see here, these are user. I have defined it as administrator. So also, okay, that's how we can give a service connection expansion. Now let's go to the point directly. So as I told you, I have given the service connection now. Now let's select the this one. As I told you, app service app type or this right now we have created what is a virtual machines. Right? This is actually what is that? This is I think. Let me select Azure Web App Service. I have created as part of it is actually a Windows operating system, right? So if you see the Windows operating system, Windows. So let me select as Windows only then in my case. So I select as a Windows. Now it is, as I told you, we have to authenticate, right? So I have already done created this one, and I shown also how to give permission to this particular service connections. Now let me select the web app that is created according to this thing. Now as I told you, this is the web app, right? So web app dev. This is the one which we created in some time before, right? This one. So now that I'm going to deploy here. If you have multiple back according to the access, you would have access there. So yeah, now let's go to the next. Here is a thing. There is something called as a deploy to a slot or the app service environment. If you have this also, we can do it. But for now, we don't have to think for now. Yes, we have to learn this also. But yeah, you can also do like this. You can production slot. Uh, okay, there is a staging slot with two slots, staging and the this thing. This slot concept I would explain later. For now, we can ignore. Let's keep it things simple. Now, package for folder, as I told you, this is the working the default working directory. Now if you go here, copy this particular part, let us see what exactly it means now. Okay, let me maybe remove something. Now if you see here, this is the this is also another pipeline variables. The local file on the Azure where your source code are downloaded. That means, as I told you, source code basically from the source code mean mostly it will be here. So this is I will keep it as a default one. Okay, let me go with the default one. This is the one where we have a zip files. So we have other option also, but deployment methods, auto detect, zip, and there are so many others. But yeah, so we will learn this also later. Okay, for now just keep things in a simple way. So we have selected the, I mean, we have changed the display name, then we selected the service subscription, nothing but your service connection details. And also I have selected the web app name, I mean web apps type as Windows, and then web app name. That's it. Now I can simply save it here. To save this one, I can save it. I save it. Once I save now, there is an option to basically, if you can see here, rocket sign, right? This is a release button, create release. Why release? Because I want to run automatic deploy here, right? This time I'm doing manually. Now, as I told you, this is the staging name as a dev I have given, right? And here I don't have to give for now anything, but if you want, you can select anything. Stage for trigger change from automated to manual. So for now, I will keep as default. So as I told you, artifacts is going to tag from this here, right? So in my case, I can give, and then you can mention anything that you wish to give, depends on that. You can make a first release. Okay, let me create it. Okay, so as soon as create, I mean, create the release automatically. This is how it is Windows is going to be look. You can directly click here. Okay, if you click here, release one, right? Click over here. This will take your release windows basically. Okay, as you, this is the first time, maybe that is why we are coming. Okay, you can ignore for now this one. We'll ignore, you can. Okay, now this is how normally it should be looking. Okay, so as I told you, you would have now we are deploying to the dev environment. So what is happening in the background, that we need to understand. Before that, as I told you, what we did was, from the CI phase or continuous integration phase, we have published the artifacts. It is stored in the pipeline. Then now we have downloaded the pipeline into where, in particular virtual machine, right? Now let me select. Okay, let's see. Deploy MS build generated package is not supported. Service connection for Azure DevOps. Deployment of MS build generated package is not supported. Change the package format or use the this particular this thing service concept to the dot of this. That means what they are telling is that the package what we were working was, it is actually open one. We have to make it as a zip file. Okay, how can we do that? Has to be zip format. So let us re-verify then. Let us re-verify whether it is true. Let me go to the release phase, click on the release button, and let me click on the new release. There is an edit button. Go to edit. There is a release edit, and click on the artifacts. There you can click actually. Okay. Now, as I told you, this is the release automatic. You can tag. If you open here, this is the one, right? Let me click here. This is, if you share, this is not a zip one, right? This is not a zip one. So let's make as a zip then. So let's see what we can, whether we can, it can solve it. So how can I make this as a zip file now? It is not a zip file. Let me go to same pipeline again. Let me edit it this time. So, so let me edit now. So where can I edit this one? So this is basically in the publish, right? We are publishing it, but in the publishing it, we have not done something called as there is something called a tag, right? Tag. So okay, maybe I will select this. Let me click over here. Let me select this also tar, or you can select, if you know the task also you can do it. The way how we can find out is that I will give one other option to basically understand better about this particular publish. Go to documentations, maybe try to find another here, one more task. Click here, this is a task, right? If you get published build artifacts, now this can, you can basically refer official documentations where it is given is in every single arguments, in the sense what is required for particular task to be defined, right? So as you can see here, This is a task we are talking about, right? So now if you see here, there is an option. Let me see. If you see here, let me just refresh it, right? This is a task, right? Syntax, if you see, this is a task. Under task, if you notice here, build.artifacts staging directory, same thing also was in fact mentions here, where I think here, right? Build dot, this is what it is mentioned, right? Part. Then artifact name. Artifact name also we can, this is by depends on me, I had to find it, and where we are going to deploy it. Same way now, if you go here, you can see here. That means they are publishing where here publish locate to part to publish here. This is a string. It is required a swing. So artifacts name. This is a by default drop. This can change any name that you wish to give. By default it's a drop, but in our case we have changed it. Then publish location. Publish locations, as I told you, we have if you see here, this is basically containers, right? So containers is because we are want to publish to the this thing. This particular task is basically you need to understand what is the major task for this particular task, to publish the artifacts to your Azure pipelines, right? Now, okay. Then next, also we can have another. This is basically the optional. Like you, if you want, you can do so. Like part target or parallel, and you can mention advanced stored as star. Now we can copy paste it, this one also. You can mention as a by default it is a false. That means this not be as a this thing by default it not be this thing tar. You have to make a star. So you can simply copy this one. Otherwise, if you want to do it from here also, you can do it. Just I'm just giving you a hint how we can define find it. Okay, let's say I will here, let me, otherwise let me just select all, because I just keep the cursor here. Let me select this thing, I'll make it as this one. Now you can see sense. Now if you see here, now it is true. What is that? Stored as star. Same thing in documents also, it says, right? This is how we can explore it. We know it, like we need to know what tasks, where we need to find the variables, how we need to define. Okay, how, I hope this is clear now. That now let me go back. So I have defined as true. That means now it will be tar now. So let me save it now. Now I can mention as updated something this one, uh, or any name you can give it. Okay. Now as I told you, this is going to be committed directly to the master branch. It's okay. Let me run. Let me run. As I told you, I'm going to run here. I'm going to select this time also, no problem. This is optional, depends on the case. You can ask, I mean, you can enable or disable it. I mean, you can untick it. Okay, Tim. Meanwhile, let me know. Maybe it will take some time. If there is any questions, or if anything that you're not able to understand. Okay, I think. Okay, let's wait then. Meanwhile, what I'll do is that I will take you here. Then I'll try to give some. Anyway, this is going to take some time. Meanwhile, I'll walk you through here what exactly we can do in CI. I mean, continuous release phase. Okay. So first thing, as I told you, this one we are clear. We have downloaded artifacts into particular agent. Then we are trying to deploy to the Azure Web App. So this is where we have selected the stage as a dev, and we have given a task to deploy to the web app, right? So this is all good. Now, as I told you, basically maybe this one we have given. I can ignore if I want to do like this also, but that's okay. This is depends on you. I will keep it as is as default. I don't want to do any changes. This one, let things simple. So next, what we need to understand is here. Let me maybe go back here. Here, if you see here, there is an option called after within the stage, right? Okay, just keep put a cursor. It says that if you click here, right, preconditions, pre-deployment conditions. Now, if you click here, what it does basically, precondition, pre-deployment approvals, select a user who can approve or reject deployment to this stage. By default, it is disabled. If you enable, what it means to say now, I can give any user an approval. Let's say I'm giving as a money because he's also part of the organizations. I say he's manager for me now, let's say, and this is a time node. I can give like how many days it has to be, what is the duration, like how long this can stay, this thing. And also there is another option like approval policy. The user requesting a release or deployment should not approve. That means if I'm the person who are requesting for the approval, I cannot approve by my side. I mean for my own release. So it has to be approved by some other person. If you want that to be tick, you can do it. By default it is it not enabled, so you can enable it, depends on this thing. Now second also validate identity of approver before completing the approval. So these all things we can have. And also there is an option called skip approval if the same approver approve the previous stage. So if there is another stage, you if you have defined multiple stages, the same approver have already approved some other stage. Let's say I have two stages here. If the dev environment got approved, same thing for the staging or maybe another environment has to be approved. That way also we can enable it, depends on the your requirement. Okay, I think it's still taking time. Let's anyway. Okay, this is the thing now. So anyway, this is how we can do it. In my case, that means now I'm trying to say 30 days, or you can say as hours or minute also, depends on you. If you mention 30 hours you can give, or maybe 30 minutes you can give, depends on how you want to define it. So it's your up to you. Okay, so in my case I'll give you 30 minutes for now, and I will keep it for untick for now, because I should be approving myself also, or maybe anything. Maybe I can give another person name also. Okay, so that's fine to provide. I can select. Now this is just, there's nothing called saving button here. You just need to close here, automatically this will be saved. Okay, once I do this thing, now if you see here the tick, now if you go here, let me maybe here the release button also, this is a release button, right? um Sorry, my bad. If you go to the release now, oh sorry, I didn't save still. Let me save it first.
That is
Sorry. Okay. Okay,
in the
it
last
is
step there is option for saving.
sorry.
Like in the last page, it was showing the option to save. I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We can this thing, there is a thing, there is an option to say on top basically. So we have saved it. So now if you want to do any changes here, as I told you, you can simply go here, go to edit. You can simply, there are two way, you can edit your pipelines or maybe release. Let's go with the release. The release pin this side, and maybe if you want to do the pipelines later, there is, as I told you, you can go here, under here, select again here, go to pipelines. Now in the pipeline, now if you see here, as I told you, this is part of your CI, right? So because we are down artifact now, if you can click here, there is an option. If you want to edit this one, before it was not enabled, now you can say this, and that means continuous deployment trigger. That means that by now, by default, it is disabled. What it means basically, if you remember, this is our repository, right? And build basically alias build name. Now here by default it is disabled. Uh, what it does basically, whenever the bill is successfully let's say this bill, that is a CI phase, successfully publish the artifacts, in the sense once successfully run the pipeline in your CI phase, then once everything completed this CI phase, automatically this continuous deployment will start kicked in. Okay, so by default it is disabled. So if you want that to happen automatic way, you need to manually come edit that one as continuous deployment trigger. Okay, this is why I have enabled it for now, so that it should get triggered. Okay, it's triggered now. Now I can simply, there is another pull request trigger also, we can do it. Pull request also we can do it. It depends on you. If there is any pull request happen for particular branch, that time also it should trigger. That option also we can do it. There is a option called as a build branch filter. This also, if you have some, you want to filter with some branch, particular some alias name, this all possible we can do. But for now we don't have to. Just I just enable it. Okay. As soon as I enable it, you would see something. Let me save first. because it will trigger automatically the pipeline. So as I told you, we have enabled a continuous deployment. So once it is successfully done, there is some issue. Maybe let us see what is the issue. Okay, debugging. Okay, so it's showing that that extension is not supported on Windows. Okay, so this is why we have to troubleshoot, understanding different issue or this thing. So what we can do is, let me check why it's not troubleshooting, or I'll go to the pipelines. Let me, the extra are not supported on Windows, but okay. Error task internal access not supported on Windows. Okay. Task fail education. So it's saying now this particular task what we define not supported. So what we can do is otherwise. So it's not supporting. So basically you need to research sometimes, right? So it's saying now this will not support. That means we need to remove it. Maybe in our case, let's remove it. How? Let me go here. Edit pipelines. External. I can remove directly from here also. Anything is okay. Okay. So if you want, you can remove, or you can make this as a false also. That's not an issue. Instead of adding it, you can simply use a false. It not be as a zip file now. Let's run. Okay. Meanwhile, what we can do is if I given as a false, now I can change in the release if you want. And that's so sometime we a lot of fails will come in the pipeline. So we need to understand the issue and see the dependency how it works. Okay. So as I told you, this will not support. That means let me go to the edit, go to pipelines. Let me click here, artifacts. This is the artifacts we have it. Let me maybe this time. Bit okay. Artifacts is okay. Here in your tasks, right? You have defined here. Let me stop. I mean, let me make this one as the. How can I go? I can select my repository link directly instead of the zip. Otherwise, artifacts. Um, yeah, this one I can select. Otherwise, I can simply select till the wheel here under artifacts it. So it should be fine. Okay. Now instead of defining the full part, means this thing I have directly copied till the part. If this is not working, then I have to give the artifacts full repository name. But that's okay for now. Let me run once again. I think it's taking time. Okay, let me share it. Thing, right. Surely so anyway, it is taking from this thing release main pipeline related. Let's run this also side by side, no problem. Maybe we restart organizations DevOps. Still it is running. Somebody would be needing, because I think is why is required. Updated. Okay. There are two pipeline running. I'll cancel one maybe. I don't know if this is the latest. Let me see. I cancel one job. Okay, this is why whenever you're working, if you're not using it, just stop the this thing. You have to disable or this thing your particular pipeline, the jobs. I mean, okay. Now let's where. Uh, anyway, by default, there is a I have enabled continuous integrations. One successfully completed the this one, right? I mean, sorry, where is that? This one. Uh, this one, right? Automatically the pipeline should get triggered, right? This is the one thing. Second thing, I don't want to wait for that. I'm trying to use the old artifacts with the full part. So let's see that also. Okay, meanwhile, maybe I will show you something else. There is an option if you want, let's say, and the release, this release name also, basically you can also do changes according to the is now starting now initializing the job. So let's see. I think pipeline got successfully done. Let's see. Yeah, it is got. Now let us see the pipeline. We have defined as a false. Artifacts not be with a zip file now. Yeah, it is not a zip file now. Okay. So fine, it is not a zip file anymore. Now let's wait for this one. I can close maybe this also for now. Now, if you want to cancel, you can cancel from here, or you can see the logs also if you want to see like what is going on, everything. Now, if you see the first, what it does was in the logs, if you check it, first it directly initialized the job, it got success. Now it went to the download artifacts. Basically, as I told you, artifacts was in CI phase, and that has to be downloaded basically to the particular agent. This is where they have taken the part. This also success. Now it is going to deploy that to the web app. So in the web app, we have defined a task, right? Like what are the steps we have defined? Like say, for example, your subscription details, then you define your web app details, everything, right? So it is trying to now check that one. Then let's see. All right. So as you can see, it is successfully deployed right now, right? So it is successfully done. So you can go back to the pipeline also. You can check it's got successfully done. So this is a small mistake would definitely happen. So that is why I told depends on the documentation. Sometime we need to see this particular is given as this is this thing, but we need to know like it is uh, for which whether Windows operating system or Linux, the agent that we use. No, this because of the artifacts issue actually. Okay, because of the artifacts we are having an issue. Now, as I told you, we have checked the documentations and you could see pipeline success. Now, let me go to the web app and I will copy. There is a link, right? I mean, there is a domain. I just copy pasted this one. I mean, I'll just this thing. I don't know which is I had defined it, but yeah, we can check this also. Okay, there is some permission issue. Okay, no problem. There is some permission issue with the applications. Maybe I'm feeling it. This repository would have some issue. Okay, the repository would have some issue. I will check this one. Otherwise, we'll try to use another repository because this repository I was using randomly. So this is the reason. Okay, this repository I was using randomly. Let me check one more working repository. If you have somebody, please share me. Okay, but this is how it works. Okay, now whatever changes is doing automatically, this is how you can just access using here. in my case, the repository summary that does not have the access for some directory. This is the reason. Anyway, this is the how it should work. Now, when it comes to the here, as I told you, successful, right? Now, whenever you do changes in your CI phase, automatically here also the new pipeline should get triggered here, because as I told you, I have enabled it here also. Now, apart from this one, there is an option. If you have multiple stages, like deploy to stage, deploy to multiple. If you have multiple, also that we can like you can do parallel way, like you can define something like this. You can define like 1 2, like they can define it. But in my case, that we don't have to do it anything. But yeah, if you want, basically that also possible. You can basically do this one. So let me maybe create this thing. Now in the task, as I told you, this is a task we have defined. I have given the full part. So the field, the artifact was publishing fully, no issue. Okay, only the issue now we've had was with the permissions in the code actually somewhere. So yeah, I will maybe try to get another code tomorrow, and then I can show you once again what changes we are making it. So now what happened, whatever changes you are doing, let's say in your code level, it should automatically get triggered. So let me show you. I'll go to continuous pipelines region. So let me do some changes in the code. I will show, I'll edit it. Right now, I simply give as a one more dev branch. So something, any changes, but this is not there. But then I'm just trying to make sure that if one of them, let's say dev branch or the master branch having any changes, the pipeline should get triggered. This is what I want to do it. Let me run it. I want to run same thing there. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, let it run. As soon as we run, we will see how the trigger, because I have enabled already, right? I have enabled it. So here only deployment, before that I have given, so somebody has to approve it. So if I, as I told you, so artifacts filter also we can do, pull request deployment also, like a pull request deployment also we can do it. So okay, there is something called as a we need to understand this also, that is your gate. So gates, like define a gates to every layer before the deployment. So if this is by default enabled, I mean disable. If you enable, let us see this also. Meanwhile, it will get trigger. So no problem. So if you see here, before the pre-deployment, we need to enable if at all require. And also under gates, we have a delay before evaluation. So it may take up to 5 minutes of this thing. Then here under deployment gates, this is very, very important concept, or maybe need to understand. Let me click under deployment gates. If you click, just take a look here. There are options like check Azure policy compliance, invoke Azure function, invoke REST API, and also query Azure monitor alerts, and query work items. So basically what it does is that it's just like a one way of evaluating, in the sense checking, making sure everything is in place according to the company or project standard or the security standard point of view. Okay, that means, say for example, I want to say if there is Azure policy is not matching according to the company standard, your pipeline should not get triggered. I means it should not approve it. We can enable this also, or maybe with the help of if you want to define some functions using like Azure functions, you want to write some script or do something, then this also possibly we can do it. Same way for the Azure monitor later. Let's say example, you have deployed for certain environment. Let's say I have only one environment. Let's say you have two environment. In dev environment, now let's say it is good. Now I want to deploy to the staging environment or maybe production environment. What you can do is you can define this one, query or Azure monitor alerts or maybe anything like that. So or maybe compliance, this one of them you can choose. Then what it does, let's say example, you are doing this one, query Azure monitor alerts. What they will observe, basically whatever the alerts is there any issue in the application, whether it is working fine or not. Those will be basically monitored here, and based on that this thing performance and all, they will get a report. Based on that, they will take a decide whether to move to the next stage or not. Understand, right? Next means, let's say further, like let's say upper environment, let's say instead of dev it could be a production or maybe staging, like that. So same way for the compliance also, because for each and every company would have their company standard policy, security policy and other things. So that also we need to check it. So as I told you, this is how it should be. Okay, now this is how we can enable it. So we can enable, disable according to you. If you enable, now you can select it. What is the display and what is the subscription, what is the resource group, this all we can define it. So this is one of the way of basically managing it. That now if you see here, automatically, as I told you, the pipeline is successfully maybe done, right? Let me check. Yeah, it is successfully done. Just now it is successfully done, just 2 minutes ago, right? Maybe let me refresh it. Now, yeah, 2 minutes ago it's got successfully done. Now let me go basically to the here. As I told you, automatically this has to be done. If you see here, there is a exclamation mark in red color, right? If you see here, automatically this is got done. That means you see this icon. Now you just click here. Okay, if you see here, now you can, as I told you, gate is there. I need to disable for now. I don't want, but I have to disable. I have this like I have to disable for now. Let's see. I think it's still not done. 1 minute. Which is there? Is it this one? This web page updated. Let me check. Let me check the pipeline. Let us pipeline. Oh, still it's not done. It is still going on. Okay. So let's wait. So maybe, yeah, it's let it complete. Once it is successfully done, then we can see in the pipeline also. I mean, continuous deployment phase. It may take 2 minutes of time. So meanwhile, we can wait it. Okay, so that is how automatically it should get trigger here. So as I told you, if you want to get approved, somebody can do it. Same way, if you want to have, this is, let's say dev, you want to have one more environment, this thing also you can do it. So if you want to release from here, as I told you, you can do it from here also, but automatically we have enabled here, like whatever changes happen, automatically should get trigger. Now there is an option called as here add, right? There's add a stage. That means say for example, after completing of this particular dev environment, I can have another stage called as maybe production or maybe staging, anything that you can give different environment basically. Or I can clone it. Clone is nothing but same copy of your configurations can be copied. Only the some changes that you want, you can modify that. Okay, so cloning also possible. Otherwise, if you want to create complete different environment, instead of cloning, instead of defining the same this thing, you can do so. So both options are available. So in my case, let me create new ones. If I just click here, under here, let me click here, or you can go from here also. There is the option. You can do either way. You can do from here, or you can come here and do it. Both remain works fine. Now, as I told you, I can mention as for now as nothing. I'll give as that's a production, just for the simplicity purpose. Production, it is empty. Now I have to select the productions related task. Now similar way as I told you, as then would be taking the this thing from where it has to be taken. Again, they will take the artifacts from there only, because artifacts was already there and defined in our here, right, first phase. So this is where automatically they will take from here only. Now, as I told you, we have done it. This thing. Let me. Okay, this is what is the name. Pipelines. Let me go here. Okay, let this also I have done. Let me now add it. Now I can define any task that I want to define. Same way as I told you, you can define if you want to deploy to the different environment. Same way you can do it. So how can we do that? So you can simply add here. Let's say example, you want to do say Azure Web App. You can see this one, right? You simply select same like that. You can deploy. That means, but in this case, I will not do it. I don't have any subscriptions. I mean, I don't want to do it. I don't have anything to define, but I maybe if you want, I will not approve it. But yeah, you can to define this. See here. Okay, same one I'm doing it, But in your case, you can define other web app. It should not be the same one. In my case, I'm keeping as default. Anyway, I'm not going to run this time. Okay, I'm not going to run. I'm just going to save it just to show you. If you see, you're using the old copy. So this is the problem. So this is the reason why the artifacts lattice is important. Old copy they are telling me. So what I can do is I can go back to here, task, go here. I mean here, if you go, let me select here. 32, I can select this one. Okay, pipeline. Okay, pipeline release pipeline. Okay, as I told you, this is the old one, so you can ignore for now. Okay, so we don't have new one. We have not published till now. So this is where it's coming. So as I told you, once it is successfully done, the pipeline has to get. Let me save for now anyway. Okay, then leave. I don't want to do it. Let me cancel it. So if you see here, automatically, as I told you, new pipeline get basically in the release phase, right? So now see, automatically, as I told you, I have not saved that one, no, because as I told you, it's an old release. So I don't want to take it, but I was just showing you how we can define it. So now you can see, I have not done manually. I have not defined anything here. You see here, automatically got successfully created now. You can see time also 145. It is 145. It is successfully deployed. Now once it is done, now we can check it here. But in our case, there is some issue with the repository itself, basically in the permissions related something. So this is the reason why you're not able to see the pace, but you should be able to see it. Okay, this is how it works. Now that means now what we did was we simply took the code from the pipelines, that is the continuous integrations, and download that. You have to create new release going to here, release uben, and you create new release and download the artifacts, and then you are going to publish to the respective environment. This is what we have done it. Okay, but there is so many other things to discuss it. So as I told you, there is some issue with the code. So the code output somewhere it is blocking, but you can see how the successful pipeline is happening, everything. Okay, this is how it works usually. But yeah, we will learn later, maybe, yeah, once we learn slowly in details. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We will connect in some time, maybe evening again. Thank you and have a nice weekend.